It has the root of the canine tooth. The root of the canine tooth, so it's so long and it reaches here, the infraorbital region. That's why we call it canine space, which means the canine space, if it's edematous, for example, or it's something, we called it even spot diagnosis. If someone came to you and he has edema in this area, not in this area, that's why it's very important to identify where is buccal region from where is infraorbital region. Because edema here, for example, it may be something in the teeth, generally, in any other teeth. But edema here, it's canine, before even making any x-ray, before even touching the patient, this canine tooth.
He
It's
asked
okay?
me about it when I got the maxilla.
Yes,
He asked
really?
me about this
Yes, it's very important. Because clinically, if you ask yourself, why they divide the face into many regions like this? Why we have frontal and temporal and infraorbital and buccal? Why? Because clinically later on you will know the differences between each of them. If you have edema here, directly your mind directed to the canine tooth. If you have edema here, maybe maxillary sinus, maybe something in the other teeth, maybe anything in the oral cavity generally. If you have edema in the parotidomasteric region, topic number 3, so this of course parotiditis, which we called it in children mumps inflammation, which we have vaccination against this mumps. It's very, very common inflammation, but because we got vaccination against it, maybe you don't hear about it. But actually, it's very, very common inflammation in the parotid gland. So the patient comes with edema in the parotidomasteric region. So it needs like divided mind to understand that here we have the canine, here we have the maxillary, here we have the parotid. That's why they divide it for you into regions. Okay?
Can you say after the bone, maxillary?
After the bone, no, now maxillary in the buccal region, but in zygomatic it will be in the infraorbital region. So infraorbital region you have to stop together till it reaches the zygomatic bone, and the buccal you have to stop up to the maxillary bone. Okay, but we didn't talk about the maxilla because we go to the oral cavity and we didn't check the maxilla. But actually, before opening your mouth, if you close your mouth, if you go here, you can find yourself on the maxilla. So buccal related to maxillary bone, but infraorbital zygomatic bone. Nasal regions. How to describe this nasal region? Take care, he said region, not cavity. What's the difference? Are they different? What's the difference?
Regions outside.
Yes, excellent. But cavity from inside, very good. But actually in this topic, we will talk about from outside till inside. It's okay from outside till inside. So let's see. Nasal region, it's covered by skin. Then we have superficial fascia. Of course, there is no deep fascia. But we have two parts, bony and cartilaginous. Because our nasal septum itself is even formed by bony part behind, and anteriorly it will be completed by cartilage. So here do we have skin innervation? Of course. And even it was so much divided. Look at here. If this nasal cavity, for example, like this, so this is the front of the nose and this is the side of the nose. So front of the nose we will subdivide it to two parts, the bony part and the cartilaginous part. Let's make it by dots. So this bony part and this cartilaginous part. But all of the side of the nose will be supplied by one nerve. So what will be the nerve supply here and here? Here by infratrochlear, which is branched from, yes, how? From nasociliary, which is branched from ophthalmic, which is of course branched from trigeminal. And here, external nasal, which is branched also from nasociliary, which is branched from ophthalmic. And here, this will be branched from where? All of the sides of the nose, it will be supplied by, we said, do you remember what this foramen? Infraorbital foramen. It's next to the nose, infraorbital foramen. So it has infraorbital nerve, which gives PNL, palpebral to the lower eyelid, and here nasal for the sides of the nose, and labial for the upper lip. It's okay? So PNL. So this will be the sides of the nose. So can you see the nasal region? We have 3 nerves only supplying all of this area. Here by infratrochlear. So now you can say that, for example, I can feel my nose now by which nerve? Infratrochlear. But now external nasal, and here maxillary. So can you see it's completely different. These are ophthalmic and this will be maxillary. Because if you notice in embryo, it was front to maxillary region. That's why it's still taking the ophthalmic nerve supply. But here it was maxillary process, so it will be supplied by maxillary nerve, and they fuse together. It's okay? So this will be the nerve supply. After skin and the superficial fascia and directly the muscles, because by the way we have here muscles of facial expression, but you don't have to know them in details, just names. We have dilator ala nasal and compressor ala nasal, and we have also the muscles which are like moving the skin of the nose itself, and all of them supplied by facial nerve. zygomatic branch of facial nerve. Zygomatic, because look at here, temporal, zygomatic, buccal, marginal mandibular, and cervical. So zygomatic, it will be opposite these muscles, the muscles of the nose. Okay? Then what you have? Now you have the bone itself. Describe the nasal cavity. What will be the roof? What will be the floor? What will be the content? Okay. So nasal cavity, how to describe it? Can you take? Yes, please. Thank you. And also, if you yes,
number them?
please. Yes. Thank you so much. Nasal cavity, it has a roof which is formed by nasal bone, cribriform plate physmoid, and body of the sphenoid. Nasal bone, cribriform plate physmoid, and body of the sphenoid. All of this, the roof. So this anterior and this posterior. Floor, it's formed by what? By hard palate and soft palate. Hard palate and soft palate. Medial wall, it's formed by what? Here we have this, which is perpendicular plate of ethmoid, but here vomer, and all of this area, it will be by cartilage. All of this area actually, it will be completed by cartilage. So this will be the medial wall, medial surface of the nasal cavity. What about the lateral surface? Actually, this is the most important one. Why? Because it has the openings of paranasal sinuses. All of the paranasal sinuses, they must open into the nasal cavity. Where? On the lateral wall. How? Again, if this nasal bone, cribriform plate physmoid, and body of the sphenoid. And this will be the hard palate and this soft palate. So on the lateral wall, we found what? We have 3 elevations. We call them concha. Excellent. And down to each elevation, we have a space, which we called it meatus. Very good. So how it will be the openings of paranasal sinuses? Sphenoidal air sinus, it opens in what's called sphenoethmoidal recess. Very important. Sphenoethmoidal recess. So this will be the opening of sphenoidal air sinus. In the superior meatus, we have which opening? Just one opening. For what? Which one?
Posterior.
Excellent. Posterior ethmoidal air cells. In the middle ethmoidal, already we have elevation like this. We called it bolla ethmoidalis. This we called it bolla ethmoidalis. And groove, we called it semilunar hiatus or hiatus semilunaris. So what are the openings inside here? What is opening? Middle ethmoidal. And here in the middle of the hiatus semilunaris, we have anterior ethmoidal. So can you see? Posterior ethmoidal, middle ethmoidal, anterior ethmoidal. They are in order from up to down. Posterior first, because where they are? Where is these ethmoidal air cells? They are here. They are like this: anterior air cells, middle air cells, posterior air cells. So can you see how they open? Here, here, and here. Like this: posterior ethmoidal air cells, middle ethmoidal air cells, anterior ethmoidal air cells. So one alone in the superior meatus, one inside the bolla ethmoidalis in the middle meatus, one in the middle of the semilunar hiatus in the middle meatus as well. Then still, how many paranasal sinuses left?
Maxillary.
And
Front.
that's it. So they open where? They open here. One in front. This, of course, will be for frontal. One in front for frontal. And this one behind it will be for maxillary. Why? Because frontal air sinus, it's here. So can you see it opens directly like this. But where is maxillary air sinus? It will be lateral to the nasal cavity. It's here. Lateral to the nasal cavity. So it goes to the most posterior aspect of hiatus semilunaris. So why we need this space then? Excellent. So this has just one opening for nasolacrimal duct. It was unique like this because it's not paranasal sinus anymore. This from the parts which they love it so much, nasal cavity. They really love nasal cavity so much because as you see, it has lots of details. Okay? Here we have which foramens? Form plate of ethmoid. What it has? Which nerves? Olfactory nerves. Excellent. Olfactory nerves, which are the nerve of olfaction. The first cranial nerve, olfactory nerve. Okay, so they're running where? They're running inside the cribriform plate of ethmoid to reach directly the brain tissue. Really, is it clear? That's it. This is a nasal cavity.
There's a bony process here.
Yes, we call it, you mean the oncus? We have what's called uncinate process.
Yeah.
Yes, this oncus or uncinate process, it will be like bony elevation, something like extra bone. Same like this, the concha, but it will be very small. We call it uncinate process or oncus. This will be area in the middle meatus only. Okay? Very good. That's it. This is the nasal cavity. Yes, by the way, because I think you have a topic about the nasal cavity. So let's finish it now. What will be the blood supply of nasal cavity?
Sphenopalatine, greater
Excellent.
palatine.
Excellent. Sphenopalatine arteries, long and short, and greater palatine arteries. All of them, they are branches from where? From? Excellent. Which part of maxillary artery? Third part of maxillary artery. Very good. They are giving branches here to reach the mucosa of the nasal cavity. What else? Here we have anterior and posterior ethmoidal arteries. Because here we have anterior and posterior ethmoidal foramens. This and this. So we have anterior and posterior ethmoidal arteries. They are branches from ophthalmic artery, which is branched from internal carotid. What will be the nerve supply? Same. Anterior and posterior ethmoidal nerves from ophthalmic nerve, and greater palatine, lesser palatine, long and short sphenopalatine. But now they are branches from, in the nerves, they are branches from sphenopalatine ganglia. Excellent. They are branches from sphenopalatine ganglia or pterygopalatine ganglia. Really, is it clear? What will be the lymphatic drainage? Now we said arterial supply and the nerve supply. What will be the lymphatic drainage? Yes, all of them, they have to reach the deep cervical lymph nodes. This is like a must. But before going to the deep cervical lymph nodes, where they go? The tip of the nose, it goes to submental lymph nodes. Sides of the nose, it goes to submandibular lymph nodes. The back of the nose, it goes to retropharyngeal lymph nodes. Why? Because your back of the nose is what? What this area now?
Nasal.
Excellent. Nasopharynx. This area now it will be nasopharynx. Okay, so the end of the nasal cavity is the uppermost part of pharynx. That's why even here we have a gland, the tissue, adenoid tissue, which we called it adenoid or nasopharyngeal tonsil. It will be here in this area. Okay, so this, it leads to the posterior surface. Here it goes to the retropharyngeal lymph nodes. And from all of them now they are going to upper and lower deep cervical lymph nodes. You know, something like an abdomen. When we say everything it goes to para, aortic lymph nodes. Now in head and neck, everything it goes to deep cervical lymph nodes. This is like the final destination. And from the deep cervical lymph nodes, where they go, they are forming two trunks now. Which trunk? Right jugular lymph trunk, left jugular lymph trunk. Why? Because right one, it goes to the right lymphatic duct, but left one, it goes to thoracic duct. It's not like abdomen. In abdomen, we say everything, it goes to thoracic duct. But now, no, it's not everything. Why? Because it depends, right half of the head and neck or left half of head and neck. If it's here, it goes to right lymphatic duct. If it's here, it goes to the thoracic duct. Really, is it clear? So this will be the nasal regions and nasal cavity.
You need to be very specific with the nerve supply and just, for example, long circular palatine but short is going to soft pelvis.
No. Yes, no. Especially in the general sensation.